Yesterday, we witnessed one of the most grotesque parliamentary spectacles imaginable. Our taxpayer-funded politicians spent an entire day hammering vindictive nails into Boris Johnson's political coffin. They queued up, one after the other, like smarmy rats behind the Pied Piper, to take part in a non-stop, holier-than-thou, virtue-signalling charade. Now, I don't care if you think Boris Johnson was wrong. Loads of people do. Loads of people think he deserved it. What I care about is this. Please can somebody explain to me how yesterday's circus benefited the average man and woman on the street? In the middle of a cost of living crisis, mortgage rates soaring, millions potentially on the brink of homelessness, record unsustainable levels of legal and illegal mass migration, a record NHS backlog, we don't have enough schools, our transport system needs urgent reform. Please explain to me how spending a day going round in circles, taking it in turns to try to seem more moral than the last person, improved any of those things. Our politicians were more energised by sticking the knife into Boris Johnson than they are about solving the numerous crises affecting this country. Theresa May took the absolute biscuit for me. She spent minutes congratulating Harriet Harman, who shouldn't have even been anywhere near chairing this undeniably politically motivated kangaroo court, in my opinion, on account of the fact that she'd already found Boris Johnson guilty of lying before she rocked up on day one. Now, it's worth noting that Theresa May appointed Boris Johnson as Foreign Secretary, so if she really thought that he was a massive charlatan, why would she effectively make him our envoy to the world? Theresa May was one of the most experienced people to become Prime Minister and one of the very worst at actually doing it. She has a personality like the frozen fish aisle at Morrison's and all the likeability of your nan's curtains. Her constituency is Maidenhead. Her local council has just gone Lib Dem. She's refused to comment to local residents about the town's largest hotel being given to asylum seekers, and from what I can tell, spent her entire life avoiding anything like a single grain of scrutiny that Boris Johnson has had to suffer. She can find the time to turn up to Parliament and slag off Boris, but what's she doing for the people who pay her wages? If her and her quite dorky-looking husband went on a permanent walking holiday in Switzerland, how long would it be before anybody actually reported them missing? Not a single British taxpayer benefited at all from yesterday. I'm sure the young single mum on the breadline who can't get a council house and has been waiting 6 months for a hernia operation was absolutely ecstatic that our politicians spent a day talking about Partygate again. And now we're going to have a secondary inquiry, apparently, into the people who were mean about the first inquiry. Are they taking the mick? Those in Westminster are as bad as the vast majority of the media. They think this is what matters to the British public. The committee was led by somebody who hated Boris, in my view, and thought he was a liar. It has another member who may have broken the rules in a worse way than Boris. They then came to the conclusion, despite not actually providing any evidence for it, and after relentless smear campaigns, that Boris Johnson misled Parliament. They wanted to give him the longest ban since Labour's Keith Vaz offered to do you-know-what with you-know-who. Then they realised that they couldn't ban Boris because he'd quit, so they went through the malicious process of taking his pass off him, and now they want to prosecute anyone who criticises this whole process. And it sets a precedent, and this is important. If an MP now misleads Parliament, knowingly or not, and intention may be inferred rather than proven, then they can be summarily ejected. It's not really OK, is it? We will be trapped in a cycle of non-stop inquiries, with MPs actually refusing to speak in the chamber in case they accidentally get something wrong or they've received bad advice. The irony is that Harriet Harman and co think that they've done politics and Great Britain a great public service, when in fact the opposite is true. She needs to get out more. This country needs a growing economy, a better NHS, more schools, more houses, strong borders, law and order. Not a load of self-entitled Westminster geeks, snobs and political chancers trying to deflect from their own personal scandals and shortcomings by endlessly hounding a man who has taken more of a kicking than anyone I can think of.